Welcome to another deep dive edition of the Chicks on the Right podcast. Today, we are going to do a deep dive into the big fat Hollywood strike that is currently wrecking Hollywood.
Oh, God, they're all just so upset.
Poor Hollywood isn't making enough money.
Oh, no. So mad. They can't get a professional gardener to come in every day and do their shrubs. And they can't get daily pedicures, and they can't get their Botox done. I mean, what are they going to do?
Have award shows.
What are they going to do?
I don't know, man. It's tough.
What is J-Law going to do? What is J-Law going to do with herself? I don't know.
Well, did you see the letter that she signed off on that Meryl Streep wrote about this whole thing? Like, they wrote a letter to the whole American movie TV production company.
What did they say, Ma? Tell me what they said.
They were just so, they have they want transformational change. They want transformational change, not just a little bit. Cause there's already been there's negotiating that's happening, but like the actors are holding firm and they're saying, no, when we say we want change, we're not talking a little, we're talking a lot.
Did they do like a black and white PSA where they all repeated one another and they were like, transformational change, transformational change?
I don't think they were allowed because that would be on camera.
That's an actual film. And then somebody had to film that and all those people are striking. So they don't know how to use a camera. So they don't even know how to use their own phones. So they're like, somebody has to do that for me because I pay people to do that. And nobody's working right now. Okay, so what does that mean, transformational change? What is that? I don't know what that means.
Well, they have a pretty big list of demands. And I gotta say, I don't find some of the demands unreasonable. Now, some of them are just ridiculous, but some of them, I think they have legit gripes and concerns that, they're fine for their unions to fight for. So, for example, apparently, like with the advent of AI, the studios are talking about possibly owning their likenesses for hundreds of years and being able to create AI out of them without them actually benefiting financially from that.
Yeah, that's
which seems not okay at all.
That's not okay. Yeah, because I wouldn't want that either. I don't want anybody owning my likeness, whether I'm an actress or just as a human being. I think AI, that's just crazy. The whole AI thing is nuts.
So it's something that they never had to consider in the last contract. So now they're wanting to say, no, you don't get to do that. Like,
they just like slip that one in. Like they're just like, they're just gonna just slip that one in. No, you don't get to do that. People actually read their contracts. You don't get to do that. Yeah. Okay, so that's kind of an asshole thing to do. You don't get to do that.
Right. And it affects, this started out as being a Hollywood writers' strike, and then the actors joined in. Now, some of what they're saying is kind of ridiculous. They obviously want more money, which everybody wants more money. I don't blame them for wanting more money, that, for the writers and for the low life actors. We're not talking about the Tom Cruises who make.
He's made $1 billion.
Insane.
He's made $1 billion in his career. He's worth over 600 million, meaning that he's like probably invested in all sorts of other things, and he has probably a gajillion properties. But he's made over $1 billion in his career by pretending to be other people. I'm not saying, listen, I'm not taking away the fact that he's a good actor, but let's just get real for a second. There are people out there who save lives. They actually contribute a lot more to society than Tom Cruise. Let's just get real. And he's made $1 billion. So I hope he's not bitching and moaning about what he's making.
I don't think he is. Okay. I mean, he's probably in favor of the strike in general.
I'm sure. But
and I think, the writing teams or whatever, however that works in Hollywood, writers and like low level actors who are not Tom Cruise, they're asking for pay raises, and they're talking like 6% the first year of their 3-year contract, 5% the next year, 5% the next year, because they want to beat inflation. Well, everybody does, and not all of us get to. We just kind of have to like live in the real world where inflation actually impacts us.
And that's the thing. That's where I want to interject, because it's like these are the same people who vote for Democrat policies. These are the same people who go like the J-Laws of the world, who will go out and stump for Biden and stump for Democrats and poo-poo on conservatives. And then they're bitching and moaning about inflation and they want pay raises. Well, too bad, so sad. Like, suck it up, Buttercup. Because this is the rest of us are, people are taking 2 and 3 jobs just to get by right now, and they still can't buy the things they want to buy. And they're not complaining about not getting they haven't had pay raises in a long ass time.
Yeah.
And so regular people out here, when I say regular people, because we're talking about regular people versus people who don't live in reality. Because, they don't live in reality in so many aspects of their lives. These are people who pretend to be other people for a living. So they're not living in reality a lot of the time. And they're complaining because they're not making enough money and they want a pay raise during a time where our economy is in shambles. And they're the ones who most of these people are liberals, and most of them voted for the policies that are creating and resulting in the suckage that they're experiencing right now.
Yeah.
Can they not? They can't see. There's no self-awareness.
No, they can't. They can't see. But this also impacts, people who are not Tom Cruise, who are like makeup artists or who are crew members or, people on sets that work on sets who don't make very much at all. And so the union ostensibly is looking out for all of their interests. They're asking for more like better residuals, I guess I should say, on streaming, on like old stuff that streams still. So apparently, for example, you could have like a really amazing show on Netflix and you will get the exact same residual amount of money for every time that show airs or every time somebody watches it as someone who has a sucktastic show. So it doesn't matter what the ratings are. The way that the residuals work right now is that no matter how the show does, you get the same, which is terrible. Like, I feel like if you have a hit show, you should be getting more residual than someone who has a crap show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that to me seems like a reasonable ask as well, like a reasonable transformation.
It's reasonable. I'm just not like, who gauges that? And then how do you dole out amounts for that? How do you do that? That's okay.
It's all very complicated. But then you read because the SAG gives lots of benefits to their members. And so, and I don't think you clearly don't have to even act much to take advantage of those benefits. So the last strike years and years ago is how they got their health care. It's how they got their pensions. They get all of those nice benefits. But like, for example, Rosario Dawson, I read, who's like big into the strike, super mad about it.
And also dating Cory Booker.
I don't think they're together anymore.
Are they not?
I don't think they've been
okay.
Together.
Well,
is she the one that was dating him?
Yeah, she was dating him.
Yeah, that's right.
For a really long time,
they're
they
not
dated
together anymore.
Cory Booker.
Right. I don't think they're together. I don't think it's been a while. I think since they've been together.
And she was a big Bernie Sanders person.
So so she she's very, very glad about how she wants better healthcare coverage in SAG. And she also mentioned, when she was talking about how grateful she was, like that during the last strike they got healthcare, she said, for example, my uncle who worked for 3 days as a performance actor qualifies now for healthcare, like I guess in perpetuity. And I'm just like, that is not how the real world works.
No.
That's a crazy ask.
Wait, okay, so hold on. So she was excited about that? She was delighted that he worked for 3 days and then was eligible for healthcare. That's bullcrap.
I know. I thought so too. I thought if this is what you're fighting for someone to work as an extra and then get like free healthcare for life or whatever.
Right.
No.
In the real world, like you take a full-time salaried position with a company and it may take you 30 days to get health insurance in some instances, depending on who the company is. I mean, like I said, these people do not live in the real world. Like they're spoiled brats, Mock.
Oh,
that's why I get. Listen, I mean, I get it. There are sides to this where, okay, I get like some of the demands, but then I'm so fed up with so much, and I'm so fed up with some of these people who are just spoiled freaking brats, and I'm not the only one who feels that way. Because if you read about a lot of the stuff, like the Daily Mail will put out articles and stuff like that about this, because of course they're staying on top of it, because they're like, the gigantic Page 6. When it comes to celebrities, they're constantly writing about celebrities. They're writing about this. And how I am. I immediately go to the comments. And people are just like, they're feeling kind of like I am. I haven't read one comment in some of these posts, some of these articles where people are like, oh yeah, definitely give them the money. I mean, I feel sorry for Leonardo DiCaprio. I mean, I do, on his private yacht. I mean, I really feel sorry because people are generally like, you know what? Screw it. I don't need these shows because frankly, it's not even so much about them being spoiled brats. A lot of the content is crap lately.
Oh my gosh.
Movies over the past 10 to 15 years have just been giant piles of crap. I don't go to the movies anymore. I mean, and when I do go to the movies, I'm generally disappointed in what I see. I think like this weekend, I was home by myself, and it's rare that I'm home by myself. And so I had the remote control and I had to relearn how to use it because I normally don't have it. And so I was like, what do I do with this thing in my hand? And so I had to find some stuff to watch on television, which was really lovely because I was able to, just kind of watch some stuff. And you know what I chose to watch? I watched The Sweetest Thing, which is like one of our favorite movies. But I looked at the year on it, Mock, and I was like, oh my God, this was made in 2002.
Wow.
I mean, it's over 20 years old. It's over 20 years old. And so I was like looking at the stuff that I actually will watch, like when it comes up on television, like two of my favorite movies are Shawshank Redemption and Forrest Gump. Those are 1994. Yeah. Those movies were made. I mean, these are the kind, and like Goodfellas was made in the 90s. I mean, these are kind of the kind of movies, Road to Perdition, movies that come up that are always on like AMC. You always see them on like, TV or whatever. Those kind of, and just, I don't know. I guess they're old movies now. These are considered old movies. Like my daughter has no interest in watching these movies. She's 13. She doesn't want to watch this crap. I would never let her watch The Sweetest Thing because there's a lot of raunchy stuff in that movie. It's really great though. It's a great girlfriend. But I mean, these are older movies, and like nowadays, I can't tell you a movie that I've watched probably in the past 5 or 6 years that was just like knocked my socks off.
Yeah,
I know it's like, I feel like I'm shaking a rake. I'm an old person going, they just don't do things like they used to do. But they really don't make movies like they used to. And there's not a lot of creativity. And the stuff that is, I guess, innovative and creative is just, it's not entertaining to me. So I don't know if they don't come to an agreement in September, which is what this, I guess he's the CEO, the 20th Century Paramount and 20th Century Fox CEO. His name is Barry Diller. He went on, what show did he go on? CBS's Face the Nation last week. And he was like, this is the perfect storm. If they don't come to some sort of an agreement by September, like this industry is effed.
And I mean, it's possible because there's such a ripple effect, right? I mean, like if it pushes off the award shows, which then push off all of these other things that are currently in production that have had to cease production. Like last night, I went and saw Mission Impossible.
Right.
Loved it. They're always good. They're so reliably good. And it was part 1 of 2. And so they had planned originally that the second part would be coming out exactly a year from now. And now that production has ceased. And so there's going to be a delay for when the second part of this comes out, which is, it's a little bit disappointing only because this one last night leaves you, there's a cliffhanger, right? And so, even though it's a year away, you're like, yay, it's a year from now, there's going to be this sequel and it's going to be amazing. And so its production, has been ceased, and so has the production of everything. In fact, they're talking, Bill Maher's show is going to be, it's going to stop. Every live night show is no longer in production right now. And that started with the writers because they rely so heavily on them.
Yeah.
But I mean, some of this, I think part of the problem, the reason that people are so instantly irritated when they even read about like a strike like this is that they just have the sense that Hollywood has become so selfish and boorish and
political
and contemptible that the mystique that used to surround Hollywood is long gone.
Yeah.
We know way too much about these people that has made it way less interesting to want to support them in any way. But that they do have, I'm trying to be fair about it. Like they do have some reasonable gripes, and the writers, when it comes to AI, because we already talked about the fact that Hollywood should not own the likeness of any actor in perpetuity.
They shouldn't own the likeness of anybody. Nobody should own the likeness of anybody else. I mean, that's just a weird notion to begin with. I don't even understand the way that was even slipped in. I don't get it, because what that would do in essence is it would put people out of business.
Exactly. I mean,
That just doesn't make any
AI
sense.
gets good enough and it's
They could do
quickly
that.
approaching that, where you can just create a video of somebody that looks like Tom Hanks. It's the AI version of Tom Hanks, and he's just now acting in a movie that's been written by AI.
Right.
I mean, AI could literally put every actor and writer out of business. So the writers are saying, yeah, I mean, we might be open to using AI to help us be more productive, but we don't want AI replacing us. And it's funny to hear them say that, because now talk to all the marketing professionals in the world. Now talk to all of the branding specialists. I mean, so many jobs are going to be eliminated by AI.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, Hollywood, they feel like this is deeply impacting to them. And so therefore it's way more important than any other Joe Schmo's job being in danger from AI.
Yeah.
So it's just sort of their like hypocrisy that's so irritating.
It is irritating because it's a microcosm for so many other things. It's a microcosm for the economy in general. It's a microcosm, like just AI is just it's a little thing that is, it's representative of so many other things that a lot of us have been dealing with for the past however many years, that now they're just like, oh, but this really affects me and my bottom line, because before I was loaded, so I didn't have to worry about all this crap, and I was above the law, so I don't have to worry about all this crap because, I'm special and I'm elite and I don't have to follow all these rules that you minions have to follow. So none of this stuff affected me. Now all of a sudden this affects me and my cash flow. So I'm going to make a big stink about it. So you're right. I think a lot of people are just fed up. They're just like, I don't want to listen to you complain, because the rest of us have been living in reality for a really long time now. I will go back and correct one thing. I did actually like the new Top Gun movie.
See?
I like that movie. But that one wasn't like a super woke, weird movie. And so many of them are that way now. And I don't watch awards. I used to actually have Oscar parties.
Oh my God, back in the day, we would have I had Melrose watching parties, like just show watching parties too.
And you've touched on something really important, and it used to be that there was mystique to the industry. And we didn't know these people, and we didn't have social media 24/7, and they weren't like telling us what they thought about everything. And I didn't know what, Jamie Lee Curtis ate for breakfast. I don't care that she eats yogurt. It's like, this is the kind, like all this stuff now that we know about all these people, like, I just saw today, like J-Lo and Ben Affleck. I don't know why I know this. Like they had a wedding anniversary, and she's posting selfies of herself on her wedding anniversary. And it's like, it used to be that stars would just have a wedding anniversary and go have it.
Right.
And we wouldn't see all their private stuff all the time. And you would buy the magazines, like, remember those magazines, magazines and all. I had subscriptions to that crap. And you would buy those magazines. You'd be like, oh, that's what she wore. That's cute. I like that, like, top that she has on or whatever. And like, you would, I don't know, you'd seek it out rather than it being shoved in your face all the time. And I feel like the mystique was such a big part of Hollywood, and that is completely and totally gone now. It's gone. Totally gone. And so it's, I don't know, I guess part of it is they're just regular, insufferable people now.
Yeah.
And so I don't really care about them as much anymore.
Well, and the guy that you mentioned, this Barry Diller guy, he's saying all the super overpaid actors and the super overpaid executives, because we're talking $450 million a year for some of these executives. So he's saying those people should just offer up a 25% pay reduction so that extra money that can then be used to sort of sprinkle out through all of the
25%. Yeah. 25%. Which I don't think that's not a bad. I don't think that's a big deal. Why can't they?
I'm assuming he's including himself in that.
I would hope so. I would hope so. Yeah. I mean, it's $498 million is what the Warner Brothers Discovery chief made from 2018 to 2022. 498, almost $500 million. God,
can you imagine? One person making that? Like, I just don't even know how to think about that kind of money.
I know, and that's the thing. Like, we talk about them living in a whole different, they absolutely live in a whole different world. Like it's a different, and then they're trying to create content for us. They try to create content that is somehow relatable to us. And I'm like, dude, you make $500 million in what, 3-4 years? Like okay. All right. You just, okay. But this is the thing. And everything changed with that industry during COVID. And I don't know if you can change it back.
Well, that's one of the other points of contention that the actors have is that during COVID, they were no longer able to audition normally.
Mm-hmm.
So they used to go to an audition. There'd be a waiting room filled with, 20, 30 people that are there to compete against them in that moment. They go to the little room, they read a script, they're given some lines, and they act it out. And then if they do well, then they get the part, right? During COVID, they were required to submit selfie video auditions. So they would be told, okay, here's the scene that you're going to be acting out. Record yourself acting it out and send it to us so that there would be no face-to-face contact during COVID. Well, now apparently that hasn't gone away. And so one of the things that they're fighting for or striking for is that they want to eliminate this whole self audition video process, because now it's gotten to the point where they pay someone to come and stand with them to read the lines. They pay someone to photograph or videotape them in their best angles. It ends up costing them money. And then they do a billion takes until they get it perfect. And then it's not a real audition anymore.
It's not spontaneous like it used to be.
Yeah.
So
that's
so weird.
And they want to get rid of that.
Yeah, they should. That's so bizarre. And you
so
feel like
that's another thing that they're just, some of the things that they're fighting for, I'm like, okay, well, that makes sense.
Yeah. But then again, I go back to these are some of the same people who push so hard for all the lockdowns and crap.
Right.
I mean, it's like, and then I go, well, you made your freaking bed. Like, if you just would have let us all be free and you weren't pushing so hard for all this shit, then maybe you wouldn't be in this world of trouble that you're in right now. Like, you were part of the problem. So I go, listen, it's a strange dichotomy, right? Because it's like, I want to go, okay, well, they have a point, but at the same time, you caused this. You were part of the.
They don't understand their own contribution to the circumstances.
They want to be exempt. They want to be completely exempt from that. Just like they don't want to ever point fingers at themselves for being, part and parcel to any hurt that they're facing right now. Any turmoil that they're in right now. And it's like, dude, grow up.
Well, and then that Barry Diller guy is also saying too that he worries if there's no deal by September, then what will happen, or say that we wait until Christmas. He's saying the streaming services will end up suffering because like a year from now,
there will be nothing.
There's nothing new.
There's nothing
for them to pump out.
Right.
Then people will be like, well, then why am I spending money on this subscription service?
And they'll drop.
Cancel. And then if they cancel and then they have no people watching the new content that comes out, it's this whole vicious circle.
What will the Obamas do? What will Meghan and Harry do?
Right.
Because their cash cow. I mean, it's like, what will happen to their cash cow then? Because that's how these people make money, right? They make money off of us and the money that we spend on streaming services.
I just feel like this is the kind of thing that Daily Wire, for example, should be like, oh, they're not creating content right now.
We should
allow us.
Yeah. More
we'll
conservatives, a lot more conservatives. It shouldn't just be the Daily Wire. It should be, there are plenty of creatives out there that should be doing. I mean, look at how well Sound of Freedom did and has done. Not just did because it's still out there, but look how well it's done just by word of mouth and by all of us just, screaming from the rooftops. You got to go see this movie. You got to go see this movie. It's not because a bunch of, people in the industry were like, you got to go see this movie. Let's market it. It's because the people marketed it. And so there's something to be said for that. We didn't, it's not like it took them 5 years to make that movie. And it's much to the dismay of the industry. Right. That is now bitching and moaning about money and, all of this hullabaloo, as you would say. So it's kind of interesting. So I feel like there could be more of those type movies that have done that. It was a great movie. Another movie that I liked in the past 5 years.
That's the thing is that this is the perfect time for people who are not involved in SAG or this particular writers union to start creating content for people and just to say, we don't need this union. We don't need to be in this union. We're just going to keep making good films, good TV shows, good movies, writing good content. And we're going to supply it. Hollywood, you deal with your own problems over there. Yeah. We got you, America.
Exactly. We're talented. We're funny. We're creative. We can give content to the people that want to ingest who are sick of the crap that's out there and just want to ingest good content, And it could be because there are a lot of people who like nowadays even have really short attention spans because of all of this social media and everything that's out there. I mean, look at the Generation Z is so much like that. I look at my daughter. Sometimes it's hard for me to even take her to a theater. I mean, she'll go, but I think she'd rather see things in short bursts. I don't know if I think it's a generational thing. I think it's just hard for kids that are like that age. They just don't really like movies as much as we did. I loved going to the movies.
Oh
I
my
loved
gosh,
sitting
I
in a
loved it.
theater for 2.5 hours and escaping like the everyday world and watching a movie. It was like reading a book. But kids these days, they're so used to seeing short bursts of information, and it's just different for them now. So somebody could take that into account and be like, okay, well, it's maybe it's not the new sitcom, but maybe it's a new kind of I don't know, a new kind of entertainment that is not just going to a theater and watching a movie in a theater, but people need to start paying attention to how people look at information and how they absorb things and ingest content. And I hope that the Daily Wires and people like that are paying attention, and more than that, but people like the Daily Wires are paying attention to how people ingest content, not just our generation, but the younger generations, because if there's something to be, all these shorts and everything that kids watch, and that we watch. I mean, I'm guilty of it too. I watch shorts and stuff. And you're on TikTok. I mean, that is our entertainment now. We are entertained by that rather than watching Family Ties.
Yeah. Family Ties.
Right? I miss
so
that.
Good.
Yeah. So we could
That's
use
the thing. Even no matter how long this strike lasts, there's so much old good stuff to keep us entertained for that's forever.
Maybe that's the silver lining. Maybe that's the stuff, because I mean, like, what is that one network? Is it Pluto, where that has all the old TV shows on it? I think it's Pluto, because we'll watch that. Like, I'll make Gwen, my daughter, I'll make her watch like old shows on television, like MASH will be on, or like they'll love all those old. And I'm sure that, kids hate that crap, but I don't care, because I love it. I love watching all the old shows. And maybe that's the silver lining. If everything goes under and belly up, that we'll just have to go back and watch all the old stuff. And maybe that's divine intervention. Who knows? Maybe that's what's supposed to happen, because everything sucks now. Yeah.
Well, I guess we'll just have to wait and see how this all shakes out. But when there's news about it, we'll be here to talk about it.
We totally will. We totally will. And and listen, send your prayers to all of those stars who are not, making hundreds of millions of dollars this week.
Right. I mean, they're struggling, man.
They're struggling in their mansions.
To afford third or fourth yachts.
I mean, and they're pool boys. They got to lay off their 7th pool boy. So pray for them, y'all. Until next week.